A marketing manager I know spent 2 hours trying to get Claude to pull her real CRM numbers, had no idea MCP existed, and just kept getting generic answers from training data. MCP is the protocol that fixes that, and this video explains exactly what it is and how it works. MCP lets AI models discover and call your real tools at runtime, and the confusion is whether it's just another API or something genuinely different. It's different, and the numbers prove it. Alright, so part 1. What is MCP, really? Most people hear it and assume it's just a fancier way to call an API, so they either ignore it or build the wrong mental model from the start. And that's a problem because if you think it's just data exchange, you miss the whole point, which is that MCP lets AI dynamically discover what tools are available and decide how to use them at runtime. I went through the official Anthropic docs, and here's what actually clicked for me. MCP is a standard, not a product, with 3 parts: a client, a server, and tools. And the best analogy I've seen is a USB-C port for AI applications. One standard connection, many devices, and unlike a regular API that just moves data through predefined endpoints, MCP negotiates capabilities at runtime so the AI can adapt to whatever tools are actually available. So it's just an API wrapper belief is a myth, busted on question 1. MCP is a capability negotiation layer, which is a genuinely different thing. Same way a USB-C port is different from a proprietary cable, even though both transfer data. That's one question answered, and the next one is what non-developers ask most. I only know that distinction because I spent a week wiring up the wrong thing before the docs finally made sense. Drop a reply below if the API versus MCP confusion has cost you time too. Okay, so part 2. Do you need to be a developer to use MCP? You've probably already heard someone say, you need Python 3.10 and the MCP SDK, and immediately close the tab. And that's the wrong answer for most people because there are actually 3 paths here with totally different skill requirements, and one of them needs zero coding at all. I looked at all 3 paths, and the split is pretty clear. Remote MCP is plug and play, simple setup, no technical knowledge needed, and there are over 3,000 existing servers ready to connect. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Local MCP is a bit more involved. Some developer experience helps. Building your own server from scratch does require Python 3.10 plus and the MCP SDK 2.0.0, so that's genuinely a developer task. Partly true, and the nuance matters. You need dev skills to build a server, but using one is a totally different story. Remote MCP is genuinely plug and play. Same idea as installing an app versus writing one. 2 questions answered now, and the next one is the one that makes IT teams nervous. Now, part 3. Does MCP copy your data externally? A team I know delayed their MCP rollout by 3 months because someone in legal assumed it worked like bulk uploading your company drive to a vendor's platform. And that fear is understandable, but it's based on a wrong mental model of what MCP actually does to your data. Here's what actually happens. MCP itself doesn't move or copy data. It's a connection layer, not an upload tool. And where your data goes depends on where the server runs and which LLM provider the client calls. Full conversation history stays with the host. The honest caveat is that at query time, relevant content does enter the model's context for that session, so it's the same class of exposure as any tool using Assistant, not zero exposure. The MCP uploads your data belief is a myth, but it's not zero risk either. Data enters context at query time, so a security review still applies. And I'd say it's kind of like a phone call versus handing someone a USB drive. You're sharing what's needed in the moment, not copying everything over. 3 questions answered, and the one coming up is more technical, but really matters. So, part 4. Does connecting more MCP servers bloat your context window? 30,000 tokens burn before your agent processes a single user message. That's the number lunar.dev measured when you connect just 5 servers with 30 tools each. And if you've ever wondered why your MCP connected agent feels slow or starts making weird tool choices, this is probably why. I had to run the numbers twice because they're wild. Each tool definition costs 200 to 500 tokens, so 5 servers with 30 tools each puts you at 30,000 to 60,000 tokens gone before a user message. And at 107 tools, models fail completely at tool selection, both large and small. The good news I didn't expect. A server-side discovery tool can cut that bloat by 91%. The fix exists, but you have to actually use it. Context bloat is real, and it's honestly the biggest practical limit on MCP right now. The ceiling before accuracy degrades is 5 to 7 connected servers. That's the industry consensus in 2026, and past 107 tools models just stop working correctly. So that's our first gotcha of the video. 3 questions answered cleanly, 1 real problem named. So MCP is real, it works, and I couldn't find any evidence it's secretly uploading your data. But we still haven't touched the 2 questions that could change everything for you. Whether MCP is actually going to be around in a year, and whether connecting it to sensitive systems is something you should actually do. And both of those answers are coming right now, and one of them genuinely surprised me. Part 5, is MCP dying? You've probably seen the Perplexity CTO tweet or the Cloudflare post saying they moved away from it. And if you're evaluating MCP for any serious project, that kind of headline is enough to kill the conversation before it starts. So let's look at what the actual ecosystem numbers say, not just the loudest voices on social media. I looked at the backlash and the ecosystem data side by side, and the picture is pretty clear. MCP now has over 17,000 servers and 97 million monthly SDK downloads. It's stewarded by the Linux Foundation as an open standard, with OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, and AWS as founding members. And the Perplexity exit is real. They cited 72% curl context window consumption for tool definitions. But that's the context bloat problem we just covered, not a death signal. MCP dying is a myth. It's moving through the Gartner hype cycle into the trough of disillusionment, which is actually where serious enterprise adoption begins. And the backlash comes mostly from teams who never needed MCP's core value, which is auth, audit trails, and governance at scale. 4 questions answered, 1 more to go, and it's the one that matters most if you're connecting anything sensitive. Part 6, is MCP secure for sensitive systems? If you need an answer in 60 seconds, here it is. MCP does not enforce security at the protocol level. That's on you, because the spec tells you how models discover and call tools. But auth, authorization, and transport security are all left to whoever builds each host, client, and server. And that gap has real consequences. Watch what happens when you look at independent security testing. Equixly assessed real MCP implementations and found command injection in 43% of tested servers, SSRF vulnerabilities in 30%, and arbitrary file access in 22%. And between January and February 2026, researchers filed over 30 CVEs targeting MCP infrastructure, with the highest severity at CVSS 9.6, affecting over 437,000 installed environments. So defense in depth isn't optional here. The MCP is secure by default belief is a myth, and it's the most dangerous one in this video. The protocol doesn't enforce anything, so security is entirely the implementer's job. Same way a USB-C port doesn't stop you from plugging in a malicious device. And that's 4 questions answered cleanly and 2 myths busted. So now let's talk about what all of this actually unlocks. So here's what MCP actually unlocks. Your cursor editor becomes a Slack client, an email sender, and an image generator. In the same session, Claude gets your real Google Search Console numbers or your actual CRM data instead of generic training answers. You can connect without coding using remote MCP, and over 3,000 servers are ready to plug in right now. And local servers can front your internal files and databases without bulk uploading anything to a vendor. And here's where people get it wrong. Wrong belief 1. MCP requires uploading all your data externally. It doesn't. It's a connection layer. Wrong belief 2. MCP is dying. 97 million monthly SDK downloads say otherwise. Wrong belief 3. MCP is secure by default. It isn't. 43% of tested servers had command injection. Wrong belief 4. More servers equals more power. Past 5 to 7, accuracy collapses and you need a discovery tool. If you're a non-developer who wants AI to actually read your real business data, start with Remote MCP today. Pick an existing server from the 3,000 plus available, and you're connected without writing a line of code. If you're building for production with sensitive systems, security is your job, not the protocols. Cap yourself at 5 to 7 servers, use a discovery tool, and treat defense in depth as mandatory from day one. One thing that catches people off guard: even abandoned MCP servers in the ecosystem can still be installed and trusted by clients. There's no built-in deprecation or integrity check in the protocol, and with over 17,000 servers out there, a meaningful chunk are unmaintained, so nothing in the MCP spec stops your agent from calling one. Supply chain validation is your responsibility, and most people find that out the hard way. Now that you know how MCP connects AI to your tools, the natural next question is how Claude actually uses those connections once they're live. And I did a full breakdown called Claude Plugins Explained that covers how Claude discovers and runs tools in practice, including the parts the docs gloss over. So that video is linked right now, and it picks up exactly where this one leaves off.